Hi there and welcome to Hyundai Power Equipment. My name's Adrian and today we're going to look at the servicing on your HYM510SPE lawnmower. Let's get straight on with it. We're going to look at changing the air filter, changing the spark plug, changing the engine oil, changing the recoil start, changing the lawnmower blade, charging of the battery and adjustment of various control cables. Okay, so we'll start with the air filter. The air filter is here on the front left hand side of the engine from the operator position. You will see on the top of the air filter there are two lugs, 1 and 2. Simply press down on the two lugs and hinge out the air filter outer cover, and here is the air filter. As you can see, this one is brand new and doesn't need changing. So to replace the air filter, place it back in the lid in the square holder. You will see that there are two semicircular lugs on the bottom of the outer cover and two little pins on the bottom of the air filter box. Simply put the semicircular lugs over the top of the two pins and hinge it back into position, pushing it home firmly to make sure that these two lugs are fully in. And it's as simple as that. That's how to change the air filter. To change the spark plug, we first need to remove the spark plug cap. Pull it gently in a controlled manner to remove the spark plug cap. Don't be tempted to just pull it like this because there's a danger of ripping out its cable. So just pull it out gently and tuck it to one side. Next, take your spark plug spanner and place it fully down over the spark plug. Using the bar through the handle, rotate anti-clockwise until it is loose. Unscrew the spark plug with your fingers to remove it. Here we are, that's the spark plug removed. To replace the spark plug, start it with your fingers, put it back in the hole and screw in the spark plug. Always use your fingers to get it started for the first good few turns to avoid cross-threading the hole in the cylinder head. Now, having screwed it in finger tight, I'll tighten it back up. On a new spark plug, it has a compressible gasket at the bottom, compressible washer. So once it's screwed down finger tight, you may find that it's about 3/4 of a turn before the spark plug is actually down tight and has compressed the gasket. To replace the spark plug cap, simply place it over the top, down into position, and give it a push to make sure that it's firmly home. To change the oil on your lawnmower, the simplest way is to remove the dipstick and pour the engine oil out through the filler dipstick neck. Okay, let's talk about that. The first thing you want to do when changing your oil is run the lawnmower until the engine oil gets warm, or the engine gets warm, and that makes the oil runnier and you're likely to get more of the oil out quicker. Okay, so as you can imagine, one would undo the dipstick completely. Probably going to be a two-person job. Somebody, if you had it on a wall or a higher area or a workbench, tip the lawnmower over, and as you can imagine, if somebody were underneath with a funnel or a catchment container, it would empty the engine oil out of the filler. Okay, far simpler method is the one I use. So having warmed up the engine oil, I've got this little vacuum pump. It's relatively inexpensive and they are available from our parts department when you order your spares. So you simply put the pipe right down into the bottom of the engine sump. Here we are, we're getting to the bottom now. But a couple of minutes, simple enough job to do when you've got the vacuum bottle. I'll spare you the last drops. So I've removed as much of the engine oil as is practical. Next we need to refill the engine oil. Now the nominal figure for the amount of engine oil is 0.6 of a litre. You can never get all of the oil out So somewhere around 0.6 of a litre is the amount of engine oil it will take. Now I've got a jug here, I've measured it out to 0.6 of a litre. I'm not expecting to be able to get it all in. So what you need to do is gradually, step by step, a small amount at a time, pour in, down through the filler tube, approximately sort of stop at maybe 400 millilitres and measure, okay? And keep going until you reach the correct level on the dipstick. Now I'll give you a close-up of this. The dipstick has the letter L, a cross-hatched area, and the letter H at the top. And the ideal oil level, L being low, would be above the low, right up to the very top of the cross-hatched area, to around the bottom to centre of the letter H. Okay, so having said that, when you come to measure, once you poured some in, allow time for that amount of oil to run down into the sump, otherwise you'll just be dipping into the oil that's in the tube and giving you a false reading. So to measure, just put the dipstick on the top, pull it back out and have a look at the level. So what I'll do is I'll fill it up to the correct level and I shall show you a close-up of the bottom of the dipstick and where the level should be. So here you can see the letter L at the bottom, the cross-hatched area and the letter H. I'll show you the correct level on the dipstick. As you can see, the oil level is now just into the letter H, but not above it. Above the cross-hatched area, just kissing the bottom of the letter H, but not above it. So that is the correct oil level. I'm happy to replace the plug. To replace the plug, pop it back in the hole, turn it clockwise until it's solid, give it a shake, make sure you've got it right, and that's your oil changed. I'm going to move on now to changing the blade. I've drained the oil out of the machine and it has no fuel in it, so there's no worries with me tipping the machine up on its side. The only concern I have is that it may accidentally start when I turn the blade on the underneath. So, you know, the OPC handle could get caught on something and pull it on, and when I turn the blade it could start, and I don't want that. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is remove the spark plug cap. You've seen how to do that earlier. So, all safe, I'm going to tip it up on its side and we'll show you how to change the blade. I've tipped the lawnmower up on its side so that you can see the operation of changing the blade clearly. So we're going to be undoing this central bolt. It's a conventional thread, so it will be anti-clockwise. I have removed the spark plug cap, so when I'm turning this, there's no way I could inadvertently start the engine, and as you can imagine, that would be very dangerous. Let's have a look at the orientation of the blade to start with. You will see that on this side is a square-shaped hole, and underneath a square lug. This side is more of a circular hole with more of a circular lug. So when we put the new blade on, obviously square for square, round for round, straightforward, can't really make a mistake. So let's undo the central bolt, a 16mm socket. It'll take a few turns before it becomes finger tight because it's sitting on a hollowed washer. I shall show you that now. So if you were to drop the washer when you're taking it apart, I'll do that. To know which way it goes back onto the bolt, it has a convex side here, or curved outwards, and concave on the other side, hollowed. The hollowed side goes against the mower, so the bolt goes in from the curved side. So I can shuffle the blade as much as I want. Let's have a look. Square goes that side, round goes this side. Hollow on this side with the writing, so that goes in towards the mower. Make sure that it's located on the lugs, and I'll wind the bolt in until it's finger tight. So that's down onto the washer. Again, gloves on. Obviously the blades are sharp, I don't want to cut myself. And let's tighten it up. So I'm compressing that hollow washer now, first of all. And when I get to the bottom, it'll start to get tight. So that's almost done. So good and tight, get it with that sort of 1/2 inch ratchet, just to make sure it's very tight. If you do have a torque wrench, the individual torque settings for your particular mower are available from our service department. Let's move on to the adjustment of cables on your lawnmower, and we'll start with the OPC cable, the operator present control handle. When you pull back the operator present control handle, it allows the engine to start. When you release it, it will stop the engine. Now, as you can see, this one, I've deliberately badly adjusted it. It's got quite a bit of slop in it, and the cable is very, very loose indeed. Now, over time, you can get small amounts of slop in this handle, and if it is too excessive, what will happen is the lawnmower won't start even though you've pulled back on the handle. So let's have a look at the adjustment of that. I'll give you a close-up of the handle and a close-up of the adjuster shortly. Just to give you a better look, as you can see, there's a lot of slack in it and the cable is very loose indeed. But if they were just, probably half the slack I've put in it, if this is moving sort of 20 mil in either direction, it probably does need adjusting. So we'll move on from there. To adjust the OPC cable, this is the adjuster here. And you can see this one has a good deal of slack in it. It's not excessive, but it's the start of getting slack in the cable. So we need to adjust it back a little. So taking a pair of 13mm spanners, what we will do is loosen the two nuts away from the bracket. There we are, that's them. I'll loosen the nut this side and I'll just gently pull back until I've got, just a wiggle in there so that I can move the cable slightly. It's much less than this was. That seems about right. I'll just tighten the two nuts back up again and just go back to my OPC lever and feel the amount of slack in it. Adjust a little bit, and as you can see, the cable's just moving just a little bit. When I pull back, the brake releases. This lever is a brake. The brake releases, and at the same time, just behind is a little micro switch and pushes the micro switch. The micro switch is what allows the lawnmower to start. When the button on the micro switch isn't pushed, the lawnmower won't start. And when I pull the OPC, it pulls back, releases the brake and pushes the micro switch and will allow the lawnmower to start. So that is the correct setting. So now that I know I'm happy with the setting, just make sure that's tight, and that's how to adjust the OPC cable. Let's have a look at the clutch cable. A little bit of free play in the clutch and probably about 20mm of free play in the cable here. That could be tightened up a little as well. I'll show you how to tighten that. To adjust the clutch cable, it's adjusted on this union here. I'll release the cables from the plastic clip on the handle just for ease of access. For this we need an 8mm spanner for this long hexagon section here and a 10mm spanner just to loosen the nut. And that's the nut loose. So what I'm going to do is hold the bottom union and rotate the top cable, and it will rotate completely, not just the end, the whole cable, until my slack at the top, my handle just rocks and my slap at the top is probably about 6mm. I think I've probably got it there. So next thing to do, hold the long hexagon part, tighten back with the nut, 8mm spanner on the small part and tighten it back up on the 10mm nut. So I'll just replace the cables into their clip and fit them back neatly onto the handle. And that's how to adjust your clutch cable. Let's have a look at the 4-speed cable for the lawnmower. Now, if you get wear or the cable stretches or what have you, you'll probably always be able to get 4th and 3rd. If you have excessive need for adjustment, you may not be able to get it down into the speed 2 and the slowest speed, speed 1. If this is the case, the cable may need adjusting. Again, exactly the same, a cable adjuster here. So if you're struggling to get it, the very first of all, you'll find you won't be able to pull it down into the slowest speed. Again, undo the nut and rotate the cable. Try a couple of turns at a time, tighten back up the nut and try it again in use. If you still can't achieve first, go a little bit further and so on. But don't go too far. Once you get to a point where you can achieve the slowest speed, then your cable is correct and tighten it back up. And that's exactly the same system as you had for the clutch, exactly the same on the right hand side of the mower for adjusting the 4 speeds. Okay, so if you struggle to get into the lower gears, the slowest, number 1, adjustment of the cable may be necessary. We often get asked how to change the pull starter, so I shall show you that. First of all, there are 2 crosshead screws at the back of this black cover, so I shall remove those. That's the one, and the other one just behind the start handle here. That's the 2 screws removed. Lifting from the back, the cover will just pop off. You can now see, just behind the pull starter, one at the front, one on this side, there are 3 nuts. 10mm socket, probably the easiest. Remove the 3 nuts. And the final one in the back corner, tucked away. So having removed the 3 nuts, you'll need a little bit of leverage underneath. Can't quite get my fingers under this one. Here we go. A little bit of a pull. And that's the pull starter removed. To replace the pull start, remembering that the pull cord goes in this corner here, because you could put it on one of 3 ways, but in the back corner there, straight on with the new pull start. Back on with the 3 nuts. And tighten them up. Okay, that's the pull starter replaced. Now to refit the cover, you'll see that it has barbs around the outside which just have got to be located in these lugs. Straightforward enough, starting from the front, just making sure they're inside as you go along. That's it back in position. It should sit flush exactly where it should be. Back in with the 2 rear screws. One by the filler cap here. Another one just behind the start handle. And that's the pull starter replaced. From time to time, especially when the lawnmower is brand new, and from time to time, maybe every 10 mows or so, you will need to charge the lawnmower's battery. The lawnmower does come with a battery charger, 13 amp outlet, plugs in simply, a bit like a mobile phone charger, plug on the end, and it plugs into the top of the battery box here. Top of the battery box on the right hand side from the operator's position. So simple really, battery charger, plugs into the socket on the top of the battery. And there we are. That's how you charge your battery. I do hope you found this demonstration useful. Should you require any parts for your lawnmower, you can contact the Hyundai Parts Department on 01646 687880. If you want any more information on your lawnmower or any of our other products, you can contact us by visiting hyundaipowerequipment.co.uk. I've been Adrian, and happy mowing!